Hey, welcome. This is The Process. My name is Dr. John Bush. This is Snap Report weeks 1 and 2. This will be a jaunty view of action-packed, metric-filled uh, material here. This is, of course, on the Science of Fantasy Football.com. I'm recording this just to kind of, if you want to hear some of my thinking, can. And of course, didn't, you would have skipped it, right? So, chase the volume is the rule of thumb. I think, though, it's a starting point. I think there are other approaches, top down, bottom up, uh, to minimize information loss. That's mainly what is going on when we're trying to figure things out is what are we missing? And if we've lost the information, a lot of times, what do you know we lost it? We become too focused on the sensational, what somebody said, these kind of things, and you can kind of get tricked and steered in the wrong direction. So I try to at least have enough metrics to look at to inspire thinking. I'm trying to capture top down, bottom up approaches, and snaps are one. I do other kind of Vegas uncertainty rankings, defense against the position, another action-packed material that I'll post later in the week. Certainly get one for Thursday's game and then Sundays and then Mondays. First thing I do is positional usage here measured by snaps. How do the teams use their running backs, tight ends, wide receivers? If you figure it's percentage of the total average. And I do this in order to have the table and then the bar graph, kind of a combo uh, visual graph that you can look at to help you for lineups, trades, daily fantasy, sports, plays, tournaments, waivers. Of course, listen to my lesson, which make you now. The metric table. Here's the metric table. Contains the team, the position, the average player snaps, in this case for all running backs, and then tight ends and wide receivers, and then the percent usage. One might think that Arizona is the rule of thumb. It actually isn't. Take a look at Atlanta, okay, which looks a lot like Baltimore, right? Baltimore has Andrews, Atlanta has Pitts. So they're both, isn't that interesting? They're both trying to get their tight ends working. Buffalo likes its tight ends, but notice the level of the wide receivers. But Arizona is putting a lot of its eggs into the wide receiver basket. So you see right there, those four teams show different strategies that teams are revealing. Okay. So, it just allows you to think about usages and, for instance, tight ends, running backs, these kind of things. Are these teams to jump on or jump off? Uh, and that can influence the waivers. The next is the bar graphs, the team average snaps of each position in I think it's red, yep, and the percentages, yellow triangles with green lines. So now we get, and so when I say top down, this is the kind of data I mean. We're not focusing on the players, right? Weeks 1 and 2. I mean, most everything you see is player level. I like to do this first, and then, right? You have to eat your vegetables, then you can have your dessert. And so here's Arizona, Atlanta, Baltimore, Buffalo. Notice that Atlanta and Baltimore look like the same team as far as usage, which is completely different than Arizona, which is different than Buffalo. Certainly, Buffalo has done quite well in what it's doing. So not only is this usage, see, we're not looking at scoring, right? Or we don't measure defense. In a way we do, right? Because if you have lots of snaps, you're probably controlling the game. So there is some of that, but there's more pieces. This is a systematic systems approach, and we need multiple streams of data. So I would suggest that Baltimore is doing a much better job than Atlanta right now. But it doesn't mean, so on the other hand, it doesn't mean that Kyle Pitts in Atlanta won't do something. It's just maybe the consistency, because they're certainly trying to do that. I mean, this reveals it, right? It's tipping the hand. So I wouldn't give up on him by any means, because this is exactly what, if you're playing tight end, this is what you would like to see. Buffalo to a certain extent. Arizona with Ertz, he's pretty efficient with what he's doing, and and if he catches scores and that's great. But again, they're going for those wide receivers, and so uh, the Dortch is got a lot of run these days, and Marquise Brown and things. So I think Hopkins, when he's back, that's going to tell you that he's going to pick right back up. And this team is set up for wide receivers to excel. Buffalo looks to me like it's a little bit more balanced, even though Diggs is tearing it up. Remember, this is measuring all wide receivers. We're not measuring players. Trying to get an overall sense, right? This is not the end, right? This is just you're tasting your gumbo, right? Yeah, I may need some more, but it's a beginning, right? You have to start somewhere, and this is the top down. And I'm not sure uh, that happens out there. Okay. So here's the next. I'm just going to go to the usage. You can catch the other. Look at Carolina. Carolina, for the most part, is doing what Arizona's doing, putting all its egg on the wide receivers. So people like Anderson, Moore, they're going to have their day, which is interesting. You would think with Christian McCaffrey that it would be a little bit more usage there. And to me, that you want to know what that concerns me. I don't like that at all. Chicago's trying to mimic Buffalo a little bit, if you remember that. Cincinnati is, lots of usage of the running backs relative to the wide receiver. Take a look. Take a look at how Cincinnati's using Mixon versus its wide receivers versus Carolina. Carolina is all eggs in the wide receiver basket, which is bad for McCaffrey. Since Cleveland is putting a little bit more to the tight end and a little less on the wide receivers, and Chubb is being showcased. That's what I see there a little bit. So Cincinnati putting a little bit more to the wide receivers, Cincinnati, Cleveland less so. So there's some pros and cons about the wide receivers on those two teams. I would, if you had Cooper, you would want him on the Cincinnati team, right? By the usage there, or certainly on the Carolina team. And here is Dallas. Look at that. It's almost a straight line. So they're probably, now with Schultz hurt, this usage may not reflect what happens this week. And Dak's gone. So if you want to see what's going to be changing, I would be cautious figuring this out. I don't know what we're going to get next 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. Denver, it's all about the wide receivers. Uh, so Judy, Sutton, yep, there it is. Detroit, actually, to me, I like that almost perfect line there. I wish they were a little bit higher with the wide receivers, but Amon Ra's really capturing all the juice there. But if something happens, do they have anybody to take his place? So it's all good now till something happens here. Hawkinson, they're trying to make a move there. Swift, if you're a Swift owner and don't have any other pieces, you would definitely like this to be higher here. What I mean by that is look at Green Bay. Green Bay is all about the running backs here. So if you got Aaron Rodgers, it is very clear he is going to have a harder time making his wide receivers happen at a high level right now, given what this in the tight end. Uh, uh, looks like it's almost a one-dimensional team there. That worries me there. Houston, I like the triangle. Cooks, the tight ends have kind of been flipping back and forth. Would love to see the running backs do a little more. I guess I'm curious how the rookie's going to come along there and see if this actually changes. But right now, I think they're not doing what they need to do for Cooks. I think that Cooks should be in Indiana. Look at that. Look at Indianapolis. Look at the Pittman. You wonder why Pittman's good. Look where they're throwing all their eggs. Jonathan Taylor and the wide receivers. That's where they're going. Jacksonville as well, running, but wide receivers as well. Big time. I know Ingram did well in Jacksonville, but first 2 weeks, that I'd like to see more of that if you had him. Kansas City is a lot like Atlanta, a lot like Baltimore in the sense they're really relying on Kelsey. And notice the wide receivers there are going to be sad. So I'm concerned they're becoming one-dimensional as well. So that it's all about the tight end there a little bit. I mean, the wide receivers are getting some play, but I'm not happy with that pattern. I love the Chargers pattern here. It is Everett. I'm all there. But Eckler, if you got Eckler, it's like Carolina. What are they doing here? Look at this. Not good. But yeah, if you got Williams and Allen, all aboard the train there. And the tight end is fine. Rams, same kind of thing. Tight ends doing well. Wide receivers, I wish that was higher and a little bit less running back here. So I know Cup's doing well, but this could be better. Look at how the Raiders are putting all their eggs here to wide receivers and a little bit into the tight end. Waller, which is not bad, but the running backs, Jacobs and all sad. That's big sadness here. So I'm looking at these two positions much more than the running backs here. Miami, uh, they love their running backs, even though Tua went nuts with the Waddle and everything. But it looks like they're wanting to try to balance it out, passing to both running backs and wide receivers. Of course, last week, Gesicki woke up. So I'm curious, does this stay the pattern? Remember, this is week one, and Gesicki didn't get much of anything. So was that a real fluke? I think it was. I think there'll be a lot more rushing and less Tua action than if this pattern continues. Be aware, it's a different pattern here. Minnesota, boy, is that flat. Wish Dalvin was more. I would love to see Dalvin up in here above 30. This is sad. Jefferson, Thielen's not getting a lot of action. It's like their best player might be not being used. That's what I see. New England, isn't that interesting? They want to get their tight ends, but it's like they're trying to be Baltimore, but they don't have what it takes. That's interesting. You would think Hunter Henry's, they keep doing this action, you would think he would get some some scores down the road. So I wouldn't give up on Hunter Henry quite yet. New Orleans, their tight end is fine. The wide receivers, though, not happy about this. This is a weak, and with Kamara, look at this. Of course, I know he didn't play last week. Very concerned about New Orleans. Giants as well, same kind of thing. But at least Barkley's getting close to 20%. Come on, not happy about that. Tight ends, okay. The Giants, but the wide receivers, folks, that's going to catch up with them right there. That's sad too. The Jets have been doing well, surprisingly, and they tend to be closer balanced there. So I guess if you can make with Flacco, if you can make the balance work, look at this. 34, I mean, this almost, very balanced here. And so if he can make it work, but it tells me that any week it could be different players here with focus. So I do have a little bit of worry about all this. Philadelphia's all about the wide receivers. Even though Goddard is doing well, he's not getting as much play as I would like. Pittsburgh, Freiermuth is being underused as well, and the wide receivers. I would love Pittsburgh to look like Philadelphia, and he's not there. Seattle, folks, this looks very sad. Balance, maybe a little to the tight end, but there's no juice here. So I'm reading that. I think Seattle, not good. I'm not optimistic, even though I did a lot of Metcalf and Lockett. I think it's going to be inconsistent because of this pattern here. San Francisco missing Kittle, aren't they? Look at that. So they've been using their wide receivers and running. Just like Tampa Bay. Look at Brady. This is almost a reverse of what they should be, folks. I think the wheels have come off Brady. I've got him in some leagues. I'm picking up other tight end quarterbacks. Till I see something different, I'm off the Brady train just because of this pattern here. Tennessee looks like I keep waiting for these tight ends to break. And Woods is being snuffed down. Look at this. There's just nothing happening here. Tennessee, I know it's Henry, but even Henry is below 20%. What is this? They're not doing Henry justice, folks. Washington is strong running back. They're going there. They're almost balanced like that. A little bit biased to the wide receivers, with, they're finding McLaurin and Dodson. So, Samuels. So I think that's fine. If you've got their running backs, even Logan, I feel like that's a more balanced situation. So not bad how that works. So here is just to simplify high versus low team RB usage in green. Where's the running back? Green Bay, folks, all day long. You want all that. Miami, Tampa Bay, San Francisco, Washington, Jacksonville, Dallas, and Cincinnati with Mixon. And I mean, Buffalo is not using their running backs. New England, Philadelphia. Look at this. Eckler from the Chargers, sad. New Orleans, no, of course, no Kamara. So I guess look at the worst. The with Jacobs. Oh man, I'm not sure how much. If you can get something for him this year, trade. I think I'd trade him and try to move up. Maybe after he has a good game. I'm not happy with Kamara. I'm not happy with any of these running backs. I'm not pleased with Eckler. I put a lot of teams with Eckler, and this is not how I expected. Tight ends. New England wants Hunter Henry, Pitts, Andrews, Kelsey, Knox, and Seattle and New Orleans. The tight end was at one, whatever. He should break out pretty soon. Tennessee would love that. Chicago with Komet, they're still waiting. They're giving him opportunities, folks, usage wise. Here's the sadness. Kittle's not there, so I don't think San Francisco's real, but Gasecki's had a sad week one, nice week. We don't know what we're going to get. Be very cautious. I did pick him up in a few places, dropped him. Uh, I'm underwhelmed by the other tight ends. I know Ertz did well, but man, that's bottom of the barrel here. So he better be damn efficient with what he gets. Here is all about the passing all day long right here in green. Look at all these teams. You want some depth on some of these wide receiver cores here. And you should be concerned about the depth here. Okay? Be concerned here. Tampa Bay, Brady, Rutrow, Green Bay, Rutrow, Dallas, Rutrow. Maybe Gallup opens up for Lamb to get more activity. So, and then here's just showing all the positives, so you can check that out. Just if you want to for daily fantasy sports, and just this is what 2 weeks have shown us. Okay, now we start bottom up, looking at player snaps, and I look at team position player, their scoring level, PPR scoring level, average week 1 and 2. So that's on a scale of 0 to 100. Nobody's going to be perfect. So it's close to 50% is great. 60 is spectacular. Snap counts, average snaps, and differences. So I'm not going to go through all these teams because my voice not going to play out. But just look at, for instance, Williams woke up last week plus 40. Of course, he didn't play week 1 because Connor got hurt. So looks to me like Benjamin and Williams were, being useful there, but it's going to split it. Ertz really woke up week 2. So I'm hoping, because of what I showed, the pattern had some of the week 1, which was sadness. 70 is elite. So I'm gonna be optimistic about Ertz. Brown, Green, and Dortch. I think they're just waiting for Hopkins to really step it up a notch. But if you can get Dutch with, his scoring level was 35, the best of this team. 35 right here. Look at Ertz, 48. Lots of scoring in the 40s here, almost 50 with Connor. Patterson, it's all about that Patterson, but they sure throw in some other hee-haw gang here. Frisker scoring, even though Pitts is getting the snaps. That's sad. London, I really like above 50. That is all good. You want to trade for him. Hodge is scoring on nothing. So just, I don't think that's he's out scoring his snaps. Zacchaeus, about what you think at 39. So you see how I do. I kind of look for players that overscore or underscore. 49 and Andrews at 78. That is overscoring his. They're just throwing that to him. And they're throwing so much tight end, even Lively woke up and got something. Bateman and Duvernay there. But look at 30s. That's sad. I'm not sure you want any of the running backs here, folks. Look how sad this is. We'll stop it at Buffalo here. It, it's a train wreck, in my opinion. Singletary's 20 something scoring. That's weak. Knox is there, but that's scoring a 22. Sad. So he should have been doing much more. Look at Diggs, 122 folks for scoring. That is off the freaking chain. He is way over scoring his snaps. That is super. Gabriel Davis, week 1, did great. 46 is nice. So you want some of him. Okay, that's an example of me. And then you can look and the differences. I do look at that as well. Kind of tell me who started and who stopped. Okay, that ought to wake everybody up for snaps. You can look at the rest yourself. Don't have time to spoon feed you here on the high chair. Y'all can do this. Get to work, folks. Having fun.